Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Celebrating Entrepreneurs, where we bring you some of the most interesting and exciting businesses that Hatch Ventures are invested in. And they're always across a range of kind of industries. And today, I think, is an unusual one based on some of the previous ones that we've done. So let me introduce my guests. As ever, one of the Hatch partners today, Fred Sanea. Fred, good to see you again.
Nice to see you, and thanks for hosting again, Lawrence.
Oh, pleasure. I always enjoy this because it's great listening to the businesses. And today we've got the CEO and co-founder of one of Hatch's investments, a company called The Bunch. And I'm joined by Elliott, Herrod-Taylor. Elliott, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining
me. Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me.
What I love about the name of your business is it doesn't give away what it does. So the business is called The Bunch. Just really sort of briefly tell us exactly what The Bunch does.
So The Bunch sets up, manages, and then even splits all your household bills, targeting mainly people in shared accommodation, offering a range of energy, broadband, water, TV packages, etc.
Excellent. And I guess, as we talk a lot generally about the cost of living crisis, a business that's sort of, really of the time. But I think interestingly that the business has been around for a while, and we'll come to that in a minute. But where did the original idea come from? Because it's yourself and your co-founder, Will Stewart, who are the sort of two main driving forces historically, I think.
Well, yeah, if I take my own story, I went to university, was in halls of accommodation, and then moved into my first private house. With 10 others, boys as well, which didn't help. I moved in, I had to set up all the bills. I was the unlucky one that was put in charge of managing all that and dealing with multiple suppliers and sort of unpredictable payments. I was actually just looking for some more convenience, as the whole process was pretty frustrating. And worst of all the liability with the suppliers was in my name. And then I was chasing 9 other boys for money, which was a constant battle. And what I came to realize is that these sort of old, outdated industries were pretty much a minefield to understand. And we ended up overpaying due to a lack of sort of education and transparency. So at 20 years old, I sort of wanted something more. And that's when I thought of The Bunch. So we've built one app to manage all of those services, which you can take with you to sort of every house you move to. And we deal with everything from customer support to multiple supplier payments to even troubleshooting service issues. And then you only ever pay your share of the bill. So that sort of individual liability means that you never have to chase housemates for money, which is actually one of the biggest fears of most renters. And then we pretend to be the experts that are fighting your corner and taking away all that confusion of things such as unit rates and usage.
Brilliant. I mean, it's a blindingly simple solution to a complex problem, which I suspect most people kind of watching this will have had some experience of, whether directly themselves or actually in my case, I think of my own children who've been through uni and many of those kind of problems. Now, as I said, the business has been going sort of 5 years now. I think you had your first clients back in May, sort of 2017. How's the business evolved in that time? And of course, I think when you started, the business wasn't called The Bunch, it was called something else. So again, if you could explain a little bit how it's evolved and why the sort of name change.
Yeah, of course. So we used to be called Easy Student Living, which was really suitable for the time. So I set it up in my second year. So we were still studying whilst we were doing it. And we made the decision to change it to The Bunch. I know you said at the beginning, you don't know what it does, but it's meant to be towards bunching things together. And the reason for that was we wanted to open up the market. So again, when I finished university, I moved in with 3 friends as a working professional facing similar issues. And we didn't want to restrict ourselves from just the student market. In terms of how it's evolved, obviously, yeah, we're in our 5th year of trading now. We've gone from 0 to over 10,000 customers across sort of 50 cities in the UK. And we operate both in a B2C and B2B market. So we have a front-facing app that tenants can use, but then we also assist letting agencies or landlords in the sort of change of tenancy in the property management space.
Oh, what a brilliant idea. Now, Fred, let me come to you. This, based on the conversations you and I have had over Celebrating Entrepreneurs, is sort of slightly different business, I guess, from some of the ones that we've talked about. What sort of first attracted yourself and Hatch to Elliott and Will and the team at The Bunch?
So I think you're right in pointing out that The Bunch is probably slightly different to lots of investments we make, but the bunch is evolving more in that direction. And what I mean by that is that, we're primarily B2B SaaS investors. So about 85-90% of our portfolio companies are B2B SaaS. However, when we started to engage with Elliott and learn more about the opportunity, the bunch ticked and excelled in all the kinds of key areas that we look for when we make an investment, and also had a path to continue to increase the revenue mix on B2B as well. And we continue to see that, and the evolution over the last couple of years has continued to play out that way. For us, there's always some key pillars of any investment that we make. And I guess two that I'd call out here is, the market. I think what's really exciting about investing in consumer businesses is you've either experienced the challenge or know people that have experienced the challenge or problem. And therefore you can really start to build, super conviction about an opportunity when you start to talk to people. That's a lot harder to do in B2B SaaS, talk to, random people on the street. So, we just saw the market opportunity and the scale opportunity. And the second was about the founders. And we can talk about, them more later on if we have time. But, for us, it's about investing in founders with domain knowledge. It's about investing in founders with experience. And that was, very clear in Elliott, Will, and the rest of the team. So, slightly more consumer focused business for us. But to Elliott's point, continuing to build a B2B business, which is significant. And great opportunity, and glad to have invested multiple times now over the last few years.
Interesting. And just carrying on from that, Fred, I mean, we have talked, and I know, it's a common theme across Hatch, invest in businesses that have really got a solution to, a clear problem. And, obviously, the bunch clearly is addressing that. But other than sort of capital, what do you feel Hatch has been bringing to the bunch sort of during the period it's been invested, and hopefully going forward? And then you mentioned, Elliott and Will, they are first-time entrepreneurs, and again, I don't think on our little program so far we've had first-time entrepreneurs. So again, what sort of attracted you to them as first-time entrepreneurs as well?
I'm going to take the second question first. So a couple of things for us. So I think Elliott and Will obviously have extreme domain knowledge and experience in this space, and for me, that's as good as a second-time entrepreneur. Absolutely. Hustle and drive. I think first-time entrepreneurs don't know when to sleep, and that has huge benefits. Comes with balance challenges as well, but huge desire to build an incredible business out of uni as well. So for us, it's not about necessarily first or second time. It's about founders that are driven, have the desire, have the domain knowledge or expertise, and have found a market that they want to go after. In terms of the first part of that question around support outside of capital, I hope that we can bring and continue to bring to the bunch the opportunity to look at scale opportunities, the opportunity to work with the rest of our portfolio, which I think funds rarely talk about, but the ability to bounce ideas off other founders in our portfolio. We're looking to join the board as part of a new investment we're making, which we're really excited about, because I think that brings us a bit closer to the bunch now, and the bunch a bit closer to Hatch at the right time. And I think a board seat is all about timing. So look, we're looking forward to that. And I think as we go through the next stage of growth, for us now, it's about moving from a business that's grown from hundreds of thousands to millions of revenue to tens and hundreds of millions. And I think that's where we can have the most impact. So yeah.
Lovely, thanks for that. Elliott, let me sort of come back to you. I mean, I guess the same question back to you in terms of, what does Hatch bring to you? Because anybody who looks at your website, people should go and have a look at the bunch, because it's, it shows very simply what you do. And there's some great pictures of your team as well, which again, I think is adds to the sort of strength of the business. But you've got a very impressive set of advisors on board, just looking through your sort of chairman and etc. So what do you feel that Hatch is bringing to the business other than sort of capital?
I think the reason we've set out on getting a very experienced board and advisory board is because we're not naive to the fact that we're only 26 and this is our first time doing it, and we're trying to get a bit of grey hair to sort of help us make decisions that they may have made that are causing problems later down the line. I think what's been impressive for us from Hatch is one, the access. I have a lot of other investors in the business, and I rarely have the access that I have with Hatch. So we have a Slack channel which we're speaking probably on weekly. A lot of the things that I found really useful are the community that Fred spoke about. So all of the other investor companies are in there. So people are consistently posting useful content, hiring decisions or opportunities that are arising, and that's really, really important. I think, like you said, when you're a first-time founder, you're sort of trying to go and take yes for every answer and try and speak to as many people as possible. But having it focused in a community that you can really ask for help for is really important. We've also actively asked for Hatch to join the board, which I think is another sign of us wanting to progress that relationship. I think we are at a different stage than we were 2 years ago when we first received the investment. We've got pretty much 10x revenue from that point. And to go from a couple of million revenue to 10 is going to take a much different type of support around the business, and we're not naive to that, and we think that's where Hatch can add the most value, if I'm being completely honest.
Lovely. And just Elliott, carrying on. I mean, when you and Will started the business, as you say, you were students. You're still only in your mid-20s. You're mere young pups in that sort of perspective. I'm sure you probably feel a bit older at certain points.
Yeah.
But I mean, did you find it quite challenging in the first year or two being taken seriously as as young people, as young sort of students?
Yeah, definitely. I think looking back, the reason we did well is that both me and Will are probably salespeople. So we just tried to walk our way into any room and chat through whatever objection we got. And we found a couple of people that believed in us and helped us get off the ground. And then we were able to build on that. I think the biggest thing that we did that helped us was actually we bootstrapped the business. So for the first 3 years, we didn't take any funding. It was self-funded by another venture that I had, and also some personal loans. And that made us so conscious of every single penny that we spent. And ultimately, then we had to make the right decision. Otherwise, we would go pop. And I think us also putting all our eggs into that basket as well made people believe more in the business. We weren't just playing with other people's money. It was actually all our own and going off our own revenues. I think one thing that I definitely found was that for the first couple of years when you are learning, that you do make a lot of those silly mistakes, but it was actually about moving quickly that really helped us. So we would make a decision, play with it for a week or two, test it, and if it didn't work, we'd move on. And I think ultimately those initial phases were actually more around getting the right product and proving ourselves, and then at that point, then people start to take the credibility after that.
Interesting. And Fred, I mean, obviously Hatch is about to join the board, and you're in that sort of, I guess, scale up phase for the bunch. How scalable do you think the business is? And it's got a nice simple proposition to scale it. Would it mean diversifying into other areas? What's the thinking around that?
It's a great question. I guess looking back at history, any business that has 10x'd over the last few years or is growing at between 200 and 300% year over year is clearly scalable, which the bunch absolutely is, and that's quite unique to continue that growth rate. But now the ability to scale clearly comes from expanding product offerings, and I guess a great example of that is Elliott, the team have continued to expand from just managing bills to launching own branded products. So Bunch Broadband is a great example earlier this year, and that will continue to expand in the future as well as other services get rolled up, or there's the opportunity to offer kind of own brand services. And then for us, a big part of the kind of investment thesis is around today the bunch only operates in one market, which is the UK. So the ability to expand internationally, this problem's not unique to the UK or England. This problem definitely exists in Europe and the States as well, and no doubt elsewhere in the world. So that's a significant opportunity, and one that takes A lot of prep work, B, the right partners, and C, you know, a bit of luck on timing as well. So yeah, look, we're very excited for the future.
And Elliott, let's just sort of finish up. What's the sort of vision, the hopes that you know, you and Will, your co-founder, and the sort of the rest of the team kind of have for the business? I guess what's the dream, as it were?
I think our vision is to capture someone at 18 who's a first-time bill payer and help them manage their utilities all the way through to being a homeowner. We'd like to provide one solution all the way through. So we recently just launched our rental product, which is our gap between the student and the working professional. And eventually we want to even offer homeowners the convenience that we offer. It won't be about bill splitting, but it will be about one place for customer support, one place to manage your bills. And ultimately, I think we're looking to take away the frustration of dealing with these old, outdated industries, which haven't had to or been forced to be innovative or improve their services because of the size of them. And we want to take away all this uncomplicated and untransparent data and turn it into something that's really easy and simple for people to use. And then ultimately deliver shareholder value. So we're here to get an exit. And we believe that if we can hit those certain milestones, we'll have lots of opportunities on the table.
Excellent. Well, listen, Elliott, thank you very much for your time. Brilliant listening to the business. I wish I'd come across you when my kids were going through university. But anyway, it sounds like you know there's plenty of growth sort of prospects sort of out there. So good luck for the future. Fred, as ever, thank you very much for joining me. And anybody kind of watching, you can follow the sort of progress that the bunch and the other Hatch investments make through the Hatch website. But for me, Lawrence Gosling for now, goodbye.
Thank you.